I would like to introduce Mickey Cashton to you. Mickey Cashton is the co-founder of the Bay Area Nonviolent Communication. She has led workshops and intensive retreats on 5 continents. And in her time with meeting all of these different people and teaching all of these different people, she brings to her work this unwavering faith that the world can truly work for everyone.
I want to say that it's incredibly moving, and I feel quite emotional being here, because seeing a community come together as a community to address this instead of having it be this is somebody else's problem is very, very meaningful for me. And to have this opportunity possibly to contribute to this means a lot. So I want to start with a story about a young man who is 16, who you could say has a likely profile of a bully. And the story took place when a colleague of mine did a 2-day workshop in a high school in San Francisco. And this boy's name is obviously not the right name, but let's call him Zeke. And on the second day of the workshop, which included all kinds of people, Zeke was a member of the Ku Klux Klan at 16. And he was incredibly uncomfortable having Jews and lesbians and people of color and all of these things in the workshop. And at some point, when it turned out that one of the girls in the workshop, her sister, was about to have a marriage ceremony with another woman, he just didn't hold it together anymore and said, "That's just wrong." To which you can imagine there was a big uproar. And now this is a kind of situation that leaves many people helpless about how to address. How do you actually intervene in a situation like this? So I'm going to read to you some of what my colleague did in her voice. So it's going to say I, but that's not me. It's my colleague. So she says, "Are you uncomfortable because there are people here you're not used to connecting with? Can you imagine really trying to connect with a person who is saying something that is so contrary to what you believe in?" Zeke replied with reasoning to explain his beliefs about why certain people are just born inferior. And went on, and there was back and forth, and at some point he says, "Well, you know, I hate these people, but don't get me wrong, I'm not a violent person. I wouldn't want harm to come to them. I just hate certain people." And she stayed with him. She stayed with him to meet him where he was. She says, "Well, now I'm confused, because you're saying you hate these people, yet you don't want any harm to come to them. I'm guessing you might even have some confusion about your feelings towards these people, because you say you don't want to be violent, yet you speak of hate." And he was sitting there like this, with a very intense look. So she meets him right there. And she says, "I'm still confused about your choice to be a member of the KKK. From what I've known, they have created an amazing amount of violence against the folks you say you hate. Can you tell me why you joined? What was your primary motivation to join?" Really engaging him in dialogue. Zeke looked right into me. "My dad is a member of the KKK." The room bristled with comments. One student chimed in, "Hey man, just because your dad's a hater doesn't mean you gotta be one too." Nodding to that profound statement, my colleague, added, looking as intensely into Zeke's eyes as he had into mine. I'm actually hearing how much you'd like to connect to your dad. I'm also hearing that maybe you feel conflicted about being a member of an organization that tries to create connection through violence and hating others. Leaning toward Zeke, trying to tangibly soften the room with my presence. Has this really met your need to connect with your father? Zeke's eyes swelled with water, but he was not going to cry. Not in front of this group. Yeah. Zeke paused to take a full inhale and exhale, audible to the room, maybe a bit from the gravity of the realization and a bit to stop the tears. I guess I joined because I wanted to connect with my dad. I just want to get along with him. He walked up to me after the workshop. You know, that was the first time I felt fear begin to leave my body. I'm actually relieved. With his new clarity, he began to assess the effectiveness of his choice and decided that hating others was not truly his path, not an expression of his authentic presence. He was able to get past the enemy image his mind had created and the fixed ideas he had about himself to see what he needed. Zeke quit the Ku Klux Klan, developed all sorts of friends, and continued to work on various strategies to find connection with his dad. That's the vision. That is the vision that inspires my work. And I want to now unpack it in very, very, very small bits so that we can go together from where we are to how you can embrace that kind of response to something that is so painful, damaging, and harmful as bullying or any other kind of violence.